Coming to you from the LoadingReadyRun orbiting underground moon base, it's the LRRcast.
I'm having the most acute feeling of deja vu.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
Weird.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't form memories. I experience time only as a point.
You see, Cam, time is a flat circle.
In this timeline,
the recording didn't mess up and we didn't have to record this a second time?
Happy.
Wait,
wait,
how does that
no,
work? No, this is the timeline where that did happen.
you caused a time paradox.
There's a better
The other
timeline
timeline where we just kept it.
where nothing happened and everything was fine, and then we're recording Tap Tap right
But
now.
in that timeline, we all got hit by a bus when we stepped outside. So
Oh, well,
Better
that's
timeline, just
okay.
uniformly better
Yeah.
timeline.
Well, I like this one better then. I'm okay to have to re-record these questions for an hour. Hey, it's a podcast.
hi,
I'm Graham,
I'm Cameron.
I'm Alex.
and we're doing your questions. We're doing an episode of AskLRR for the podcast. We ask you questions on Twitter, and then we will answer them, and then you will receive those answers to your questions by watching the video, and then you will tell us in the comments if we skipped your question, and it's a cyclical thing we have.
Yeah,
It
it's
goes
a
well.
feedback, it's an environment, it's an ecosystem.
Cyclical.
And so our first one, in it real quick, question from Two Flower. I realize it's the running joke of Commodore Hustle this year, but how are you making money? Are Patreon and Twitch subs enough?
Drugs.
Drugs, mostly.
Yeah.
Cam, of course, does a lot of chemistry
Chemist, which
work
means that he
with,
knows how to make
with
weed
crystals,
and
specifically.
Holy
but-
shit, you do
and-
make crystal meth.
So, crystal meth is a sucker's bet. What you make is acid, although getting the ergotamine is difficult.
All right, so there you go. That's how we make our money. It is mostly Twitch and Patreon, actually. If you look at the sort of the pie chart for where our income comes from, because there's a lot of us.
The non-drugs portion is.
There's a small sliver that's like YouTube dollars, because YouTube ads are actually not very much unless you're some crazy number of
Unless you're
subscribers.
PewDiePie.
Yeah, there's merchandise like T-shirts and DVD sales and playmats and stuff like that, and then the majority of it. Oh, there's also like independent contracts. Like we did like the Screen Sheet trailer recently, which again you should check out. Alex and I do voice work for Screen Sheet. It's a super fun game, but the majority of it is crowdfunded by you, either through Twitch, which is sort of a form of crowdfunding, the subscriptions, or through Patreon. The vast majority of it comes directly from you, which we really like. We like having the very direct, like, we answer to you, and we want to do things that you will like, or that we think you will like, and you will tell us one way or another. So that's good. So thank you, by the way.
We salute you.
Yes. This is a question from @AnyGould. What is your favorite part of the new moon base?
The friend zone. I
Right.
like the friend
We
zone.
need to explain what the friend zone is.
Oh
The
man.
friend zone is wonderful.
The friend zone is the area that you might have seen in some videos with the couches and the coffee table and the TV, and it's a great place to sit.
The area in which you interact with your friends.
It's a
Yeah.
zone for friends.
Yeah, it's where you.
We're taking it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
It's
You want
the
to
friend zone.
Yeah.
be in the friend zone.
Yeah, I've been happily-
because all your friends are there.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to go to the friends? It's just buddies
hanging
and
out with-
pals
I'm hanging out with my friends
watching
in the
videos,
zone.
playing
Yeah,
Magic.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's nice. I do like that. I had time to think about this, and I still can't remember what I said the first time. What do I like about the new moon base? I don't know. I just like how it looks.
It's really great.
I like
It feels like an actual office.
Yeah.
It feels really nice to come into work.
Yeah.
It
and
feels
it's-
official.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I find myself putting more effort into cleaning up and
Yeah, I like that as well. That
Windexing.
everyone has a greater sort of feeling of
It's like, this place is nice. Let's actually keep it that way as opposed to, this is a hole. Fuck it.
yeah. A follow-up, I guess, from @JeffLewis. How does it feel not to have to clean the bathroom anymore? Well, it gets clean, so that's nice.
yeah.
Though I do feel kind of bad for the girls who have the offices across the hallway from the bathroom.
Yeah, because we go in and just
Lay down some
blitz
time.
it.
Yeah.
I think they give what we
Yeah, I
get.
think they give as good as they get though.
I haven't encountered that yet, but I usually am here later in the day.
Yeah, no, they
And so began the Great Poot War.
true.
@Isa the Engine asks, what was the new moon base before it became the moon base?
Office.
It was offices. It was some kind of, I actually don't know, it was some kind of medical office. Because we talked about that in the loading time. There's that, the sliding window there was for the receptionist's office. And the costume and prop storage rooms were like the
Examination rooms.
The exam rooms, why they had those built-in sinks. But yeah, it was offices. Actually, before we got it, it was empty for a year. And the landlord told us actually that they had to deny like multiple rental applications from medical weed dispensaries because this neighborhood is apparently just fucking lousy with medical weed dispensaries.
It actually is. And during the crap shot where Paul is narrating about places to get dank nugs, I actually had to contract the search window because there's like 8 in the neighborhood. It's ridiculous.
There are. I read about this recently. They're
licensing them now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the city is.
Yeah, for like a $5,000 license, and then they can actually like enforce it. They'll be in less of a legal gray area, which will be nice. So, because there was the one up the road, the formerly known as
the Dank Bank.
The Dank Bank.
Playing a little fast and loose with their.
I'm so bummed to have lost the Dank Bank as a name.
Yeah. Also, they had the best positioning because they're down the street from a head shop and around the corner from a pizza place.
Yeah.
The pizza place with that pizza place's marquee pizza, the 420.
Yeah. 4
Like,
kinds of meat, 20 ounces.
wait, what?
Is that really what it is?
Well, that's their sale pitch when somebody's grandparents order pizza and they're like, why is it called the 420?
Well, you see, there's 4 kinds of meat, 20 ounces. Oh.
Oh, so it's not like the chronic that we smoke.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if someone was trying to like breathlessly explain this to them. Be like, oh, that's really funny that it's the meat and the ounces thing.
Because I thought it was the weed culture sort of police
did you know
call
that
sign for
420. It's not even that. It's not even the. I don't even. It doesn't matter.
I'm not sure it comes from anywhere.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories, but nobody knows.
This is the best time to get high.
Actually, speaking of pizza, next question from @Metalupus, who we met at PAX South. Favorite pizza toppings?
See, I actually didn't have a good answer for this last time because I actually have pretty plain pizza toppings on my pizza. It's usually just like pepperoni or some form of meat or chicken or something.
I like, my favorite pizza is Hawaiian, but that's not necessarily to say that ham or pineapple are my favorite toppings. Like, I guess cheese is my favorite topping because I have cheese on every pizza I have.
I think we tried to put to rest the notion that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
I super don't
I don't
need,
like pineapple, but that's horseshit.
I super don't need you to tell me in the comments that I'm some sort of monster for putting pineapple on pizza. Plenty of people do it.
Yeah.
There are dozens of us.
It's good. In
like,
fact,
hey-
my favorite pizza is pineapple and mushroom with chili.
You
Chili powder.
Which I have not
Chili
tried,
flakes.
but sounds really good.
Yeah, no,
I mean, actually, no. It sounds utterly fucking weird.
Yeah.
But
it works. I agree. It sounds weird. When a friend suggested we get it, I was like, that's weird. And she was like, I know, but it's good. And you should try it. Yeah. And I was like, this is weird because it's sweet and spicy from the chili and the pineapple, but the mushrooms add like an earthiness, kind of like an umami, savory kind of thing. And like it blends with the cheese really well. And it's just like this entire flavor experience that harmonizes well with
Spoilers.
I'm going to try that.
If your pizza toppings are enjoyable to you, they belong on the pizza. Full stop.
I put pineapple on my
If
pizza.
you want to put Marmite on your pizza, I don't care.
Like,
I don't have to eat it.
deal with it.
I'm just imagining, like, because there's, especially this past week, there was just so much horseshit from like hardcore extremist console fanboys. And like,
About what?
if you're, I'll tell you in a sec, but like if your hill to die on is your pizza topping, it's like you're not
That's not a
defined
good
by
hill.
your pizza topping.
That's a termite man.
It was basically Quantum Break, the new.
The time warp Steve shooter.
it's the new game from the people that made Max Payne and Alan Wake,
okay.
which was I want to say Ricochet.
I didn't know that they made that those two were the
Yeah,
same studio.
it was-
I liked both of those.
It's the
games.
R with a
Something.
gun, I thought. What's the studio? Paul's looking it up. Anyway, Remedy. Thank you. So they're making Quantum Break, which was announced at Xbox One at E3, I believe, or it was shown as part of the Xbox presentation. And I think it was going to be an exclusive, maybe, but now it's also, they've said that it's coming out for PC. And some Xbox hardline, dogged...
Xbox fundamentalists.
Yeah.
We don't want to share the sandbox.
Yeah.
It's our sandbox.
It's...
Nobody else
the
gets
head of Xbox, like some guy started bugging the head of Xbox. It was like, this is disappointing, I'm canceling my pre-order. And the head of Xbox replied to him on Twitter and was like, you are canceling a pre-order for a game that you want to play because someone else gets to play it.
That's literally what this is.
Why?
And
like, I don't know.
I had a similar discussion about Magic premiums, about like how weirdly spiteful certain demographics of like players can be. Mm-hmm. It was I think it was the Hell Vault thing, where where every store got a Hell Vault and every store got weird cards, and a couple of them got like stuff. Really fancy stuff, and people got fucking irate. And Mark Rosewater, I think it was like, this is interesting. I want to do a poll. Like, would you rather, like, I think it was like everybody gets, some people get more and some people get less, or like nobody gets anything. And the majority was, I don't want anybody to get anything. I will cut off my own nose to spite my face. Just like nobody gets stuff. If I can't also have the special thing, I don't want anybody else to have it. And I was like,
that is so insane.
You're babies! Why are you being like this?
Speaking of babies, our next question, this is, we're getting way better segues this time. At MaraCats12 is asking for Gamer Kathleen, how is Penelope? She's well. She's generally speaking a pretty chill
An
baby.
infant now.
Yeah, technically an infant.
Yeah.
Got the split.
Got the split.
Yep. In the speed run of life. Newborn is 1 to 3 months, and then they become an infant.
I did not know that.
I think it's toddler next, or is it just baby? I actually don't know. I haven't really looked into the taxonomy of children. But the follow-up question from Mara is, how has LRR work changed now that she exists? I've tried not to change my own work too much because I do a lot, but I have it set so that I am able to do more of that work from home. For Kathleen's case, she's not doing feed dump, and before she was not only hosting but also organizing and editing it, and now Ian is organizing and editing it, but Kathleen is now editing Corpline, doing like the first pass to cut the hour and a half down to like the 15 minutes, and then I go in and do like the tightening and the filters and the graphics and stuff.
I definitely get the impression that Kathleen is spending a lot of time being a good mom.
Yeah, she is, but
which I dig.
She finds the work super rewarding, and she really likes doing it, and if she... Like, she's still writing for Checkpoint, she's still doing crap shots, she's writing Friday night, she's in a couple crap shots from time to time. If she wasn't doing that, I know that she'd go nuts, as I would. Like, it's very personally fulfilling to still do the work. So, yeah, she will return as the false host of Feed Dump at some point. I can't say the one true host, because in storyline, that makes no sense. The kayfabe would be shattered if I thought that she was a better host of Feed Dump than me.
The kayfabe.
At NTG asks, won't you miss the natural light in Moonbase Delta? A little bit. There's actually, the friend zone gets pretty decent natural light.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why I enjoy it the most.
Yeah. I mean,
sit out there, chill out.
We talked about it in the loading time that like the 2 rooms with the biggest windows and the most natural light are also the rooms that we want to use as the studios. So it's Studio A where we are, and Studio B where the streaming happens. And so we never want natural light in those rooms. So there's like Venetians and curtains, like thick curtains.
Yeah, drapes.
Yeah, and so that kind of sucks, but it's nice in the friend zone. At Wolfgang Cloud asks, what is your perfect weather for a day of enjoyment?
I think we decided it was like cool.
Yeah, I like sunny, but not hot. I would rather be able to wear jeans and throw on a hoodie than be in t-shirt and shorts. I don't feel as comfortable like that. Like I would rather be able to put layers on than have to take layers off because I don't handle heat very well. So I like a nice crisp day.
I like winter.
I actually quite like winter too. I think my favorite season is autumn. The fall.
I think I'm a spring spring chicken.
Like I just miss snow from northern BC.
At Biteford asks, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Deinonychus.
Dynamite.
One of those is definitely not a dinosaur.
I disagree.
Okay.
Deinonychus is absolutely a dinosaur.
All right. I was more talking about dynamite. Mine is the Ankylosaurus. We did this in Paul actually wrote this in an old sketch called Dinosaur, I think. The Ankylosaurus is it's the one that it has the tail. So it looks like sort of like an armadillo. It's got like a spiky like armor shell on its back and wears a little like armored cap, which looks adorable. And then its tail is, as we said in the video, comprised of several large osteoderms. It has like a club for a tail, right? And it just, I don't know. I think it's hilarious.
I think I may have figured out why I couldn't answer this question last time. It's because if you asked me what my favorite robot was, I would give you a list. But dinosaurs, I don't dislike them, but I'm just
They're
like,
just not your jam.
they're dinosaurs. They're, you know, they're sort of like old barnyard animals to me. It's like, what's your favorite thing on the farm? It's like, I don't fucking know.
The
The
sheep,
chicken? I don't know.
cup chicken.
The cup chicken.
Oh.
It's a chicken that's shaped like a sort of roundel.
They produce very strange looking eggs.
Soup is so good though.
At Captain Red Ram asks, how did Corpline get started? What was the inspiration?
Back in the day of Desert Bus 5, I
I
think.
think it was Desert Bus 5, yeah. They all sort of blur together for me.
It was co-op o'clock in the morning, and I decided that I would do a radio show. So I put on a pair of aviators, which I think is A-Train's canonical look.
The Aviators, yeah.
Yeah, just like, I'm the DJ.
I mean, you don't need to see in the booth.
No. Maybe it's just like you take it off and you just see like the wasteland.
Yeah.
It's haggard, kind of like squinty eyes.
Or the Corinthian, he actually has teeth.
Oh God, that's horrifying.
No.
So people for years after would beg me to do a repeat of the
I mean,
show.
you did it one day,
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 days into the desert bus, and then they asked you to do it again every night, basically.
Just
And it was mostly you sitting there with the mic, with the performance mic, being
would
like,
take
"Hey, what's
calls.
up?" And you take calls from like random people in the room, and they'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" And they'd improv with you. Like Ian would do weird voices,
Yeah.
and Beej would call in, and then you would do "What's in my hand?" Is that what it was called?
good.
Or someone would just
Someone
put
would
something.
hand something out of my view, and I'd have to talk about it.
Yeah. And then people were so desperate for Derpline, which is what it was called at the time. It was Derpline.
Yeah.
That I decided during one of my shifts, I was like, all right, screw it. I'll do my own. I'll do the morning show equivalent of Derpline. I'll call it Quopline, because we'd played Quop and I went crazy and it was 4:00 Quop in the morning and that whole thing. And so then I did my version of it, and then we combined, not even at that Desert Bus, I think it was the following year, we combined forces, Derpline and Quopline into Corpline.
That was a funny show.
And that was the one with
Ass.
Yeah, it's the Innsbruck Community Theater performing Ass the musical. I love that you came up with Innsbruck, by the way. It is spelled with an N,
With
but
an N?
we've been inconsistent
Yeah.
in Corpline, but it does have to be
Many characters in the show will pronounce it Innsbruck.
yeah,
which
it's
is
not
not
Innsbruck.
correct.
That sounds like a place that like Lovecraft would have.
Yeah.
It's
Like INNS.
yeah, like you have to start forcing the N noise out of your mouth.
It's like you're trying to pronounce a word that has been truncated.
Yeah.
So it's Innsbruck.
Innsbruck. Yeah. It's like
Innsbruck.
I don't know.
Whatsburg?
Innsbruck.
Innsbruck.
Yeah.
Innsbruck.
It's like Dunsburg or
It's
something.
like finish the word.
Innsbruck. Yeah.
Innsbruck.
So yeah, and the inspiration for it, I don't know, it was to do funny stuff. Like the thing is, after the second year, if that was 5, then like after at least after 7 and 8. No, yeah, at least after 6 and 7, I was like, man, we should do something with this. We should make this like a semi-regular podcast thing. I think that'd be really funny. Sort of, like formalize it and make it a little bit more structured. And we didn't. And then finally, after Desert Bus 8, I was like, okay, we seriously have to do this. Because Desert Bus 8 was the one where it was you and me and Beej and Kathleen and Ian doing Skeletor, and the whole thing sort of like really came together. And after that Desert Bus, I was like, we have to do this. And then like 8 months later,
Yeah.
we finally did, and that's
Good times.
yeah, the situation
So-
we have now.
Brief aside about Corpline. It's been compared favorably to Welcome to Night Vale,
Yeah,
which I've only listened to like one episode.
I've never listened to
My-
it, nor
yeah,
has
my-
Kathleen or Beej or Ian.
So that's interesting because like my reference point and sort of like inspiration for some of how I do it comes from like way older stuff like Firesign Theater, like Proctor and Bergman, even like Cheech and Chong routines that I used to listen to like on LP.
For me, Round the Horn would be would be an inspiration. That was a English radio show from the 50s and
Oh, and
60s.
the Goon Show.
Yeah, they were the Round the Horn was peers of the Goons. I actually listened to the Goon Show, of course, but I listened to way more.
a lot of Goon Show.
I listened to way more Round the Horn than Goon Show, and Round the Horn had the similar sort of like structure of like it was a variety show, but like it was a variety show and the cast was like 5 people, but the cast would be characters that were guests on this variety show, and they'd be different guests, and it was always very strange and would go off the rails, and they would do like the lifestyle segment and stuff like that.
So I mean, I guess the similarity is sort of coincidental because we're definitely not directly inspired by Welcome to Night Vale because haven't listened to it.
It's funny too because
We know about it, but
I think it might just be one of the things where the only show a lot of people are familiar with that takes place as a fictional radio show in a fictional
I mean,
place.
it's a totally fair comparison.
it might be the same as what you experienced when you were talking about what was it? Shadows over Innistrad, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, it's looking more like Bloodborne all the time," and you were like, "There's gothic horror that isn't Bloodborne."
They have the same root inspiration.
Yeah.
It's
Common ancestor.
It's funny because after we debuted Corpline, some people were like, "Oh, it's like a comedy Night Vale," and that a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah," and so I've sort of taken to use that as a shorthand description for it. But it's funny because if times that I've said it's like a comedy Night Vale, responses have been like, "Well, Night Vale's kind of a comedy by itself," and I'm like, "All right, look, I don't know, I don't watch this thing."
But this is what people tell me.
Yeah, I'm just going with what I'm told.
Yep.
I'd say that Corpline is definitely more absurdist
It is very
than
absurdist. I mean,
Night Vale, from what I
there's
understand.
some dumb stuff that happens in there. Like even from the very first episodes where we're talking about like the decision we made early to make the town hall and the local watering hole have the same name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
That's the joke that just keeps on giving.
Could you say that Corpline is absurdist, whereas Night Vale is surrealist?
maybe.
That sounds.
Again, we
From
have
what I know
almost-
of Night Vale, that seems reasonable. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. At Paramedic Greg asks, where did you get that LifePak 12 defibrillator? We got it from your daddy.
We did get it from my daddy. Our local college, Camosun College, was liquidating a bunch of assets for some reason.
I don't want to think about it.
And among them was this very fetching defibrillator, which may or may not work. And my dad called me up and was like, "Hey, do you guys need a defib?" And we're like,
Huh?
"Maybe."
He didn't ask me. He just showed up at the moon base with a defibrillator and was like, "Hey, I found this here."
Yeah. The funniest part about acquiring that was I texted our friend Tina, who is a nurse in training. I think she's maybe done her training now, but the text was something to the extent of, "Hey, what do you know about defibrillators?" And then I thought about it and sent a second text, "Not an emergency." And she texted me back. It's like, "I'm very glad you sent that second one because..."
Yeah, that's got to freak out, someone you don't message that often.
Just all of a sudden out of blue, it's like,
What
"Hey,
do you know about
how
defibrillators?"
to defib, how do it work? Dying." So we talked and figured out how to render it essentially inert. Okay, because dangerous.
Yeah.
We extracted the batteries, which were removable, and hid the power
And
cable
weigh a
somewhere.
ton.
They're really
Batteries
heavy.
are heavy.
And it's been a really great prop ever since.
At Dominic923 asks, which is better to support you on Patreon or on Twitch? We get this question a lot, actually. And fundamentally, we are just happy that you want to support us at all, and we hugely appreciate that. It doesn't make a massive difference to us. Like on Patreon, we get a little more of the money because the fees are different. So like this is assuming $5, right? Because it's $5 on Twitch. So if you have $5 a month and you want to put it into Twitch or into Patreon, we would get more of that $5 on Patreon and it goes toward the milestone goals. But on Twitch, we give you the shout out on the stream and you get the emotes in the chat. So it's utterly your call, and we're just thrilled that you want to support us either way.
I guess you just have to pick whether you like milestones or stupid usernames. And
Yeah.
Or
bear.
whether you want to be loaded into XCOM and save the Earth. Do you want to be a hero?
Do you want
Or do you want to be chum?
Do you want to deeply disappoint Cam by missing a completely easy hit?
Just like park your gun against their noggin and miss.
Yeah. That vacuum form noise of the gun barrel nicely suctioning onto a sectoid's forehead
And
then missing.
Missing completely. At Saw in My Pocket asks, how does everyone get to work?
Bus.
I walk.
I'm lucky because I take one bus that's super direct.
I can take one that takes about 40 minutes, or I can take two that can take less.
So you guys bus, James and Beej drive, and everyone else walks.
Ian has a car, but he doesn't need it because he's so close.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you, Paul, Ian, Kathleen, and Corey all live downtown.
Well, I mean, I say James and Beej drive. Heather
Buses or walks.
buses or walks, but doesn't typically will ride with Beej if they're leaving at the same
Yeah.
time, but typically will walk.
Yeah.
At JeffRohr asks, opens with a statement that LRRCon was, without hyperbole, life-changing for me, which is really wonderful. And thank you, Jeff.
Lamau.
And then follows up with, any chance we'll see more footage from it? And this reminded me that I do have other footage from LRRCon that maybe I should put Ray on to and see if we can get that out the door.
Sweet.
Because we paid a guy to film it, so. At Kinugami asks, a la the mirror universe of Star Trek, what would the mirror universe of Moonbase Delta be called?
The hole.
The whole.
Get in the hole.
Like, no, don't send me to the hole.
I just want to see Cam in a Star Trek mirror universe goatee.
I'm still
I think
holding
you'd
out,
rock it.
I'm still holding out hope that the new Star Trek series will be a mirror universe series,
That would be
like set in the kind of the original series timeline.
interesting.
Yeah, and just like have an Earth Empire crew being turned into human beings by their encounters with the cosmos,
So like they would start out really kind of
like militaristic.
militaristic and maybe a little fascist.
Yeah, and just keep
Space
encountering
fascist.
things that made them turn into better people.
That'd be really interesting.
That would be
Yeah.
interesting. They just become more.
That'd be a
broken.
hard sell too.
Yeah,
Because the first episode would be like, these guys are all assholes.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then they come
Well,
back and
like,
get
they would
thrown
have to
right in
have, like,
jail.
They would have to have like a core of a character,
Yeah.
right? Like they would have to be. I don't know. I think that would be very Star Trekky in the after Roddenberry decided that he was actually a utopian
Yeah.
instead of making like Captain Kirk goes out and punches or has sex with things.
Yeah.
The TV series where he decided he was actually no, this is a utopian ideal. I think that would actually mesh into that, right? Like humanity encounters space and becomes better.
I think Roddenberry did a lot of great stuff for Star Trek, and obviously all the groundwork and creating the original series and then Next Generation. But definitely some of his like writing commandments I have difficulty with. His big one, well, the big one really is that the crew would never fight.
Yeah.
Like the crew would always get along 100%, and it was always the crew as a complete unit versus whatever challenges are out there. And I like that. I like not getting bogged down in
Like
interpersonal bullshit all
Yeah.
the time.
Okay, so
However-
The Walking Dead.
Yeah. However, and I do like, sort of like, yeah, we're a team and we're going to solve this problem. You look at Deep Space Nine, and Deep Space Nine is really interesting and fascinating because the crew don't always get along.
Yeah.
Although they
like-
don't really go anywhere.
Well, I mean, like
That's fine.
But you have the Bajorans, you have Starfleet, right? Who have compatible but not always parallel interests. And then you also have people like Garrick and Quark.
God, Garrick's such a good character.
And Garrick is like the best character in Trek.
Yeah. Also, hey, Max Temkin from Cards Against Humanity did. He did this for Next Generation as well, but he did an article on Medium on the sort of like the episodes you have to watch of Deep Space Nine,
Mm-hmm.
sort of like if you don't want to watch literally every episode of all 7 seasons,
Right.
what are the ones that you
Can't miss.
Yeah, that you can't miss. And it's a lot longer than the Next Generation
Yeah,
one because
yeah.
there's like plot arcs and stuff. And it's a really good read. You should check that out if you want to see this series. It's very good. At RJI asks, why are you so awesome? Hashtag slobbering fanboy. Well, because we is, I guess. RJI also asks, are any of you old school 8 or 16-bit retro game fans? Yes, because they were the games that we played in high school.
Yeah, I remember playing like
Chrono Trigger,
well, I mean,
Mario.
Legend of Zelda,
Yeah.
Mario 3.
Mario 2, Kid Icarus.
Did anybody ever play TurboGrafx 16?
No, I never knew anybody who had one.
The first console my family ever owned was a PS2.
Yeah, same.
It took forever.
I bought a PlayStation 1.
Because we always rent it because my folks were very slow to adopt the idea of having a gaming console in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I would play NES over at friends' places, same with SNES, and
Genesis.
I
Good
put up
memories.
with the most irritating kid in the world because he had a Nintendo until I got my own. And I got like Castlevania 2 and
Nice.
Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior. Because like you get, like Dragon Warrior was like the Matrix, right? Like the first DVD of the Matrix where it felt like, you know, if you left a game unattended and unobserved, it turned into a copy of Dragon Warrior. Right? Just everyone had it. It was ubiquitous.
That's so wild. I think where we took this last time was the modern games that managed to recapture that aesthetic
Oh yeah. Because
in a useful way.
and I was making the distinction between a retro style game and something that's just pixel art. Because
Yeah.
I love beautiful pixel art.
So do
But
I.
if you look at something like Fez or Hyper Light Drifter,
Right,
which
yeah,
I can't.
right.
Did you back them on Kickstarter?
Yeah.
So did I. I'm really looking forward to playing it.
Yeah.
'Cause it was like
Like-
3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the graphical capabilities of that game are like completely beyond anything you could have imagined
Yeah.
on a console.
But and I love pixel art. I think it's really cool. But I also have a real soft spot for something like we were talking about Shovel Knight, which is categorically meant to be like an NES game.
It's a love letter to NES.
It's so
Platformers.
good.
But it also is the product of like 25 years worth of game development.
Yeah,
Because it has auto saves.
Well, no, I really dig when they take this sort of like they just take only the good parts about retro games and add to that the good parts of modern innovations.
gaming.
Where it's
Yeah.
just like they don't have the artificial difficulty bullshit, of certain quarter munching, arcade machines.
And I was saying that's why so many people liked Bravely Default, because it was like a Final Fantasy VI era RPG with stuff like autosaves and like quick saves and like it had the all the trappings of modern gaming, but it was still like a game from before. Because if you go back and play those games, you'll be like, oh right, it's missing all these features that I'm used to.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also we only remember the good ones.
Yeah.
There were just as many bad games back in
Oh,
the day as there are today.
Yeah.
It's just like you forget about them. There's lots of them.
At Reg the Second asks, where do you think you would be if you hadn't picked up Magic and hence not done Friday nights?
The whole.
So we'd still be here, just in the alternate universe.
It would just be the whole.
Interesting.
Just like we have all this money. If only we could get rid of it somehow.
Yeah, I don't know, because Friday nights is definitely the most viewership of anything that we make, but it doesn't always relate to fans following the rest of our stuff. Like, there's plenty of people who only watch Friday nights and have not and will never come to our own channel or find anything that we do ourselves. That said, we have absolutely gained many, many fans from it. I don't know. I like to think we would have found our way gaining a fan base without Magic, but
Warhammer.
Yeah.
That would have happened.
Games Workshop does not like people playing in their sandboxes.
I'm really happy to be part of the Magic community and in amongst all the great other
I'm
people in the
pretty stoked.
community and be
There's
sort
there's
of
so much to like.
ambassadors for
So
the
much
game.
depth
Oh,
and
yeah.
breadth and height too.
Yeah, they've been very good to us.
Just reading ahead here at Chiroptera Boy. Is that a dinosaur?
Don't.
I think it's an ornithopter, maybe.
Okay. Are any of the crew? Do any of the crew enjoy competitive gaming? What are your thoughts on the subject? I assume like eSports. You mean?
Maybe.
I watch a lot of StarCraft, and I mean obviously Magic.
The only, I guess it could be called competitive, sort of gaming that I watch is speed runs, almost exclusively for Dark Souls.
I mean, I will watch Evo. Not obsessively. I'm not super into the fighting game community, but it's always nice to watch sort of the people operating at their peak. I don't get as much out of it because I don't follow it as well.
It is a
So like
little.
it's the same reason I don't watch League because I just don't get it.
It's a little unusual to me, and I use that exact word, unusual, to see esports showing up on like ESPN. That's
I think it's neat.
in some ways
I
it's
agree
almost
that
like
it's unusual.
like the perfect Revenge of the Nerds kind of thing. It's just like
We're taking over your sports.
where sports balls get to speed with StarCraft, and it's all under the same roof.
That said, by the way, just because you mentioned it, using the term sports ball derisively on the internet, please stop. People are allowed to like real sports, and you're not cool
Because you
by
hate
going,
sports.
oh, look at you with your sports ball. Like on the Super Bowl, oh, is there some sort of sports ball game going on today?
Yeah.
There is, and a lot of people really care about it. And
Yeah.
I don't, but they don't give a shit about the things you like. So, like, you don't have to give people shit for it. Some people just use it because I think
I do too. I think it's
the
like-
term sports ball is funny.
Yeah.
But a lot of people online use it in this sort of like
very superior.
nerd revengey kind of way of like, oh, you peasants and your real life.
I'm here with
sports.
my video games that are so much.
And it's
superior.
like it doesn't
shut
affect
up.
you. Just let people like their
Yeah.
sports.
It's like you
Mute the
you need
hashtags
to,
and move on.
Yeah, you need to be better.
At Fracasio asks, is there any ideas that you consider to be more feasible thanks to the new space? Maybe Crapshot or Mystery Box related. Well, number one, this studio is way better. It's nicer for recording these things.
I mean,
and is real good for AFK. Oh, yeah. So much more
as evidence,
room for
like
activities.
just this last weekend, we did the Highlander tournament, and we actually had. I don't think that would have really worked very well. Well, I mean, we could have done it at the previous movie.
It's just tighter to get in and out of the spaces.
So much more
and,
awkward.
There's actually a different question from @WillFloyd3 saying, will we see an AFK stream of a commander match with your personal decks rather than the precons? And I think we should definitely do that.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Yeah. @Bradleyan says, rewatching old LRR sketches highlights the snappy humor of Crapshots. Thoughts on how you've grown as comedy writers?
Graham,
Yo.
what's the most important thing about comedy?
Timing.
Time. God damn it!
Ah.
See, that's the learning right there.
Yeah.
We can't even tell the same jokes.
It's
anymore.
tricky. Like, I couldn't tell you ways that I've improved. Personally, like I couldn't off the top of my head, but I can certainly go back to older stuff and pinpoint very clear places that I would do things differently now. Crapshots by their nature are always snappier because the whole point of the crapshot was to get in, tell the joke, and get out. Whereas some sketches would start with an idea for a joke that flowed very naturally into a sketch. Sometimes we'd have an idea and it would be like, okay, this is funny. How do we spin this into 3.5 minutes, sort of thing. Although we did always try to avoid, I felt we tried to avoid the ones where it was like a 4-minute sketch of like nothing that interesting happening and then a punchline. We really did try to make them funny throughout because I don't like, otherwise you're just watching a bunch of stuff that's not entertaining.
It's just
and then
like way
there's a
too much
payoff.
setup for almost never enough
Although there
payoff.
was that one Futurama episode that was just a 20-minute setup for one gag at the end.
Really?
Which one was that? I don't
Balls thoroughly licked.
I don't know that one.
It was where they were being invaded by balls, like the bouncing balls,
Yeah.
and they had to go to war.
Yeah.
And it was like, it had like a couple of like lulls in the middle, but it was just like this long setup for this headline at the end.
Balls thoroughly licked.
Yeah.
I like that. I appreciate that. So yeah, I don't know how we've grown as writers necessarily, but I think we have. @Baku Freak asks, could you please explain the dubstep beach lore, and how does Banana Cory fit into the story?
So
I don't know.
Oh man.
My
Okay.
own headcanon and this is not authoritative, this is just what I'm interpreting,
Oh yes,
is that the banana Cory is hunting down the beaches.
I love it.
That's probably going to be our next video. The beach
Like from all the
frog.
alternate, like Jet Li's The One.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time, there has always been the beach and the banana,
Yeah.
locked
Like,
in constant battle.
The beach drop
Neither
is
ever
like
winning.
this invasive, like self-propagating
Yeah,
sort of,
he's like
you know,
a-
affliction,
Yeah.
and Corey's just like punching them one at a time.
Yeah. It's like the beach is like a hegemonizing swarm, right? Going through the universe, consuming everything, turning it into
It
beach.
just turns into John Malkovich, only beach.
It's funny because we weren't here for that, for shooting that.
Yeah,
And
they
we
just
came back
they
and
did
we were
that all
like,
on
"What
their
did you
own.
do?" I love, by the way,
Beautiful. I laughed.
there was a
It's
really
so hard.
really smart choice of them to include Lindsay in that because
good.
it super doesn't make you think that it's going to be like it just having an atypical actor at the beginning, I think really helped misdirect
Yeah.
from where it was going to go.
Sorry, the sound though. Beach
Oh, yeah.
wrote the first one,
Yeah.
which was him dropping
The
the
groceries.
groceries and then being like, "I'm you," and we wanted some sort of music sting, like a dun 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 kind of thing.
Or like a
But-
water, what are they called?
Slide whistle?
No, waterphone. The
Oh
Have you seen a waterphone?
no!
It's weird. It's like a bulb like
Yeah.
this with a stalk out the middle. And then from the apex of the circumference are all these differently lengthed rods sticking up. And you put a little bit of water in the inside and then you play it with a bow, like a violin bow. And it makes all the horror movie noises, basically.
Oh,
It's a very, very strange instrument.
I gotta see.
Oh, there you go.
What?
That's a waterphone
huh.
for those watching.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So you put water down the thing and it sits in the base. And then that one has like mallets, but you can also play it with a bow and it does the like or the like it makes all these bizarre noises.
But we didn't go for any of that.
No,
You
cuz
put on the timeline that ridiculous dubstep.
Which-
I think it's just called like dubstep wobble.
I think cuz you'd grabbed it for a different crap shot and
Yeah.
I was just looking through all the audio you had and I was like, "What's this one? Let's throw it in there." And you and I just died laughing.
it was so funny.
And we were just like, "Oh,
That's hilarious, but we
that's
gotta
great,
find a
but
real
No,
one.
what are we looking for real? But we just kept laughing about it, and we invited other people in and said, like, "Look at this," and and everyone laughed, and we just said, "All right, it's going in."
And now it just appears anytime we do that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Look forward to Cory patrolling the multiverse, hunting
Yeah.
down beach.
At Caroline Magan asks, "How much has Hamilton caught on in the office since Desert Bus?"
I enjoy it.
James is all about that music.
I still haven't listened the whole way through. I really want to, but it's weird. Everyone was just like, "OMG Hamilton," but I had no idea what it was.
Yeah,
And
I
it
thought
wasn't
they were
until-
talking about Ontario.
Yeah, there's a city called Hamilton in Ontario. It wasn't until James told me, no, it's a hip hop musical. In fact, it's like 95% sung, so I think you could probably get away with calling it a hip opera. About Alexander Hamilton, the first Secretary of the Treasury of the U.S. And that was when I said, okay, now you have my interest. It's also
Really
just
not at all what I
really,
expected.
really
I've sort
amusingly
of missed
written.
out on it because I'm kind of lukewarm on musicals to start with. Again, like dinosaurs, I don't dislike them. I've actually been in some,
Didn't you say that
but
the composer had originally considered it like the Hamilton mixtape,
Yeah, it was.
Ugh.
It was
then
about half as long.
and then it became a musical?
Yeah,
I think, yeah, just go into the soundtrack with that in mind.
yeah. You can actually find a recording from like 2009, I think, of him performing the first song at at Obama's poetry slam at the White House.
Rad.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, so I've been working on this thing that is a mixtape, a rap mixtape, about the guy I think is the hardest rap character in American history, who's Alexander Hamilton, and everyone laughs, right?
Yeah.
And like he starts performing the song, and everyone's kind of like they laugh at like whenever they drop the name, and then everyone just kind of gets really into it.
yeah, nice. Sounds good.
Yeah.
At Caroline Megan also asks, in light of Sidewalk Slam's good reception, any plans for more podcasts? Yes. First of all, Adam and I were overwhelmed with the positive
He
response
was so nervous.
for Sidewalk Slam.
It was really precious.
Yeah. Well, we both were, but Adam especially, and it was really great to see the overwhelming response, especially along the lines of what you said as well, which was, I don't watch wrestling, and I haven't necessarily been that interested in it.
But this was
But this was a compelling
because
thing to
I was
watch.
watching it with Kim, and she was into it.
Which is great, because that's exactly what we wanted to do. So we're doing more Sidewalk Slam. It's going to be bi-weekly, and we're going to be recording another episode this weekend, and it'll be up next Friday.
Yes, she was very delighted by what she described as a fighting gangbang.
And so we're going to be doing that. And there was another question later on about the Magnum Rewatch podcast from Kathleen and myself, which is on hiatus right now because baby, but it will also return because we super, super like it. We frequently would refer to, I didn't tell you guys this, we frequently refer to a website called magnummania.com, which is like a Magnum PI fan site trivia resource.
Okay.
And I would frequently refer to it on the podcast. And unsurprisingly, they found the podcast and they really like it.
Right.
And so when we stopped doing it, we started getting messages from people, like Magnum Mania people, being like, hey, are you going to bring the podcast back?
Neat.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because sometimes we would like give them a little bit of stick because the site had ratings for different episodes. And we'd be like, how can you give this episode a 7? This is a 4 at best. And I was like, well, now, this is a website purely for people who are fans of Magnum already.
So this is like...
So you have to look at it in the lens of they're never going to rate anything lower than a 6, right?
Or is it like 1, which is the worst episode of Magnum, to 10, which is the best episode of Magnum?
No, I bet the ratings don't even go lower than... I honestly bet they don't go lower than 5. I haven't checked, but they should. There should be an episode in there that we may have already done because it was terrible, but anyway.
Yeah, it would be like if TNG had the same rating, it would be like 1 would be like the one where Yar has to fight all the people in the cage, and 10 would be Inner Light.
Mm-hmm. Inner Light. Inner Light won an Emmy.
It did.
Damn.
At I am Matticus asks, what dish, food, or drink have you had the biggest turnaround on? From like gross to loving it or vice versa?
Ooh.
That's a really good question.
Mine would be avocado, which I hated as a child. I hated it.
I love avocado.
Yeah, now I love it.
I drink club soda now.
What?
A little bit. I mean, I don't.
Get out.
You know, you've just doomed yourself.
I
right?
know, but well, no, I haven't because
Yeah, now
now
he's
it's like,
just fine
oh,
with it.
thanks,
Yeah. no,
idiot.
Were you just like tried in the crucible of soda? Like what happened?
I don't know. I think I just eventually got a taste for it. Like I've been drinking more soda water, which I think I prefer to club soda because club soda has a weird sort of. I wouldn't necessarily describe it as acrid. It's just the baking soda in it that makes it a little more bitey than I like. But I get just like sparkling water at the grocery store, and I quite like that. So, but man, if you've seen early desert buses, you know that I'm not super into clubs.
What have I come around on?
I also had a big come around on asparagus from being a child.
Yeah, I really
feel
like
like
asparagus.
I may have because I really, really like asparagus.
And more recently, I guess within the last 15 years, would be beer.
Yeah, there's one actually. Yeah, I love beer.
Yeah.
And I used to hate it and all alcohol because it tasted gross.
I have a couple of things that I've turned around in the opposite way. I used to like raisins. Don't care for them now. I think it's mainly a texture thing, though.
Well, just because they have the texture of a scab.
Some of us like to eat scabs. I'm not going to name names, but maybe that's a thing that
I love raisins.
I thought you were going to say I love scabs.
couldn't quite do it.
Cam almost got through there.
Couldn't quite do it.
At Kim Jappis asks, do you guys usually room write sketches and crap shots, or do you write them independently? So that's actually two different questions. The sketches, when we were doing them, were very typically written independently or in pairs. With involvement, like we'd often have like everyone comes up with an idea and then one or two people go off and write it, or a couple people write something and then everyone has input on some other jokes. The crap shots are almost always group written. Like definitely someone will be like, I just thought of a fully formed crap shot, and they'll write it down and they'll put it in, and that'll be the script and it's done. But usually they're sort of group written, which you can see at our panels when the panels happen. I think that actually covers that question rather quickly.
Yeah.
At Altariana, the Ocean who subbed, asks, what type of yogurt reigns supreme? Greek yogurt is
Frozen.
the correct answer.
Yeah,
that's also
frozen is the correct answer.
that's also a correct
Now
answer.
I want some froyo. I want some froyo.
Fro-
Well,
Yo.
let's make James take us.
Eye cream.
Eye cream.
James.
Eye cream.
Eye cream, James.
Eye cream.
Eye cream.
Eye cream as a colloquialism for froyo.
For ice cream.
Yeah. Well, you got to get the middle
Okay,
syllables out.
Can I just say, you know what I really miss? This used to be a thing in ice cream shops in Victoria and elsewhere, is they would have that big machine with the horrifying drill
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that
yeah.
they would like pop a bar
Oh,
of frozen
yeah.
ice cream
And
and
then
throw
like
in
a
some
scoop
fruit.
of frozen fruit.
And if you were lucky, you would get the little like
the tail end.
yeah, the
of,
tail
yeah.
end of the previous one
Yeah.
and the sort of like just white of the next
Yeah.
one, I think. It was really good.
Yeah.
That was a weird childhood thing for me
Yeah.
because I always tried to see the ice cream bar because they would reach into this thing and they weren't trying to conceal it. They would just like rip the package and just like flip it in. And I was always trying to see the ice cream bar because I wanted to see it, go in.
Yeah.
I was like, why are they hiding it?
They're hiding their shame.
Yeah.
Dr. Christ asks, does Nelson have any prior acting experience?
We don't know.
I actually have no idea.
Yeah.
I know that he performs. Like he's
a musician.
He's in a choir. He
He has a BFA in trombone.
Wow.
interesting.
He plays trombone.
Actually, I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
So he's definitely his performance experience. I don't know if he has acting experience, but I know that he's great in Friday nights. So. At Julius Arna asks, does Paul still have tiny people living on his head? And if so, is he still using that sweet hat? That's a throwback.
Doesn't look like it.
Paul's not sure. I answered about the Magnum rewatch already. At Selenk asks, is there anything that you miss about the old moon base that you wish the new one had? Did
Ceiling
we
height
answer that?
And
Oh, yeah, right. That was
maybe a
different from
little
the
bit
other
of natural
question.
light.
Yeah, some of the natural light. It's like a little. It can be in some situations a little harder to boom because of the lower ceilings.
Yeah, which isn't to say this has lower ceilings. It's just the previous moon-based gamma had very high ceilings.
Yeah, it takes me like a full 90 seconds longer to walk here.
Yeah.
It's further away from the parsonage.
It's not.
Not by much.
This is an improvement. This new place is good.
Yeah.
And at BRedMage93 says, bring back Applewood smoked pork.
We'll get right on that.
I love
Do we have to sever all ties with somebody first?
I love that so much.
Yeah.
For reference, that was the Subway Facebook
Yeah, Subway Facebook.
posted that they have severed all ties. This was like before the legal trouble even got that far along. Subway posted that they had severed all ties with the Jared Fogle Foundation, and the top comment was, bring back Applewood smoked pulled pork.
It's just like we could, they could be making whatever announcement and it would just be like, hey, idiots.
Give me my park. I need my park.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Oh, man.
Okay, that'll do it for AskLRR. Sorry if we didn't get to your question, but we got to do other podcasts today, and we have to do this one twice. So, woo! Until next time, as always, remember that our podcasts and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com. Yes, Soulja Boy.
He underrates all this? That's where we make money.
Soulja Boy.
A generous
In that
grant
pie
from
chart,
Soulja
there's
Boy.
also, yes, a generous grant from Soulja
Soulja
Boys like you.
We need now we need a video of Soulja Boy playing The Witness.
Yeah, I want that. Patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. Please check that out. We really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you next time.